Okay, this is it, Mac, the Daily Planet. Fresh fruit. Hey, Lee, how about a tomato, lady? Hey, fresh fruit. Hey, baby, how's it going? Hey, fresh fruit and vegetables.
Wow, looks like there's some big news in the Daily Planet today. This can only mean one thing. It's time for a show about Superman. We're here at the News Building on 42nd Street in Manhattan, which was the location of the Daily Planet in the Superman movies. When Clark Kent first moves to Metropolis, he gets a job as a mild-mannered reporter and meets Lois Lane. We had an opportunity to talk to the original Lois Lane, Noel Neill, who later became Superman's love interest. Let's see what Noel had to say. Hi, we're here at Wizard World Philly with Noel Neill, who is the original Lois Lane, and as far as I'm concerned, the one and only Lois Lane.
Thank you, Jeff.
Now, you started with, well, how did you get into acting, performing originally?
Well, sort of via Bing Crosby and I did a little singing with an orchestra down at the racetrack that he owned in Del Mar.
Right.
And then I started at Paramount.
Okay.
Which is, of course, the studio that he and Bob Hope were the big heroes there.
Were you a contract player there? Or?
I was under contract to Paramount for 4 years and did a lot of, they like to move you out into other studios to do a movie or something because then they would get paid twice your salary to be there.
Right.
Fine, okay. But it was a lot of fun, and eventually I did a couple of serials, and they were made, of course, by Sam Katzman for Columbia. And one day my agent called and said, oh, Sam wants to talk to you. And I said, fine, what about? Because I'd done one serial for him. And he called and he said, well, would you like to be Lois Lane? And I said, Lois Lane? Lois Lane. Okay, fine. I said, you're fine, okay. So I dashed out and bought a comic book because I had to find out what Lois Lane looked like, what she wore and how she worked.
Yeah. So you weren't familiar with her?
No, I think comics in those days were a boys' thing.
Okay.
They all loved the comic books. And so I did the first one with Kirk Allen. And they were, I call cliffhangers, of course, because, and we did 15 chapters. And then they did very well for Columbia Studios. So they called and said, well, we're going to do another 15. Fine, okay. And then a little bit later on, we found out they had done the series in New York, or back east, with an entirely new cast. And but the producer called me and he said, no, this is Mr. Aylesworth of New York National Comic. Oh, I said, hi there. And he said, would you like to join our series, do Lois Lane? I said, well, fine, sure. So I did, and that was the end. They got rid of the producer of the first 26.
Okay.
And this Kellogg's joined group then, and they wanted to keep them innocent for children because it was a children's show.
Yeah, sure.
And no gore, no blood, no whatever. So that's the way we filmed the other 70 some that I did with them. And they were really fun.
And that was with George Reeve and Jack.
George Reeves, Jack, and John Hamilton. And we were all set to start work again. And the producer called and said, hi, Noel, what again? Oh, yes, okay, we're going to work again. I said, great. And he said, we got 26 more scripts already from New York. And would you like to come by the studio that we were filming before and see if your old suit still fits? So I said, I'll be by, I'll drive by. So I went by a few days later, and I saw George, and he was just real happy because he was going to direct most of the new ones. He had done 4 of our last ones. And as he said, the dialogue doesn't change, just the names of the heavies.
That's great.
Which was about, and he was so cute. He said, I'm going to direct most of the new ones because, frankly, he said, I'm getting a little old to be running around in my underwear. So that shows what a wonderful person he was.
That's great.
And so a few days, I dropped by and I saw George. He was playing Gin Rummy, one of our directors, George Blair.
Right.
And he was fine. He was looking forward to it. He was going to do a little movie first and do one personal appearance, he thought.
Right.
And then we were going to start. And he said, I'm going to direct most of the new ones for the reason I told you.
Right.
And fine, great. A few days later, the phone rang. This girlfriend called and said, did you hear what happened to George? And I said, I thought she meant her husband. George. I don't know. So we carried on a conversation. She said, no, George Reeves. And I said, So I couldn't believe it. So I called Mr. Ellsworth and found out, and it was just, terrible.
Yeah.
Having just seen him, and he was so happy with what we were going to do. And he was progressing because he wanted to get into directing as he got older. And
so he had made a lot of plans and had a lot of goals.
Right. But
who is, of all the Supermen that you've dealt with, and you've dealt with almost all of them,
right.
Who's your favorite? Which one, not favorite, but which one is closest to your image of who you think Superman is?
Well, I think probably George Reeves. Now, Kirk Allen was very good. Kirk was a dancer in New York, ballet dancer.
Right.
So he could do the leaps and the whatever, and he did a wonderful job. But with him, of course, they did the flying stuff,
They animated that, right?
Right, yeah. And with George, of course, they made the situation, they used ropes. They dropped George from about 6 feet in the first series. Then he got up and said, Peter Pan flies, George Reeves, no. Off he went. But Cy Simonson, our special effects man, invented this, I call it a frying pan.
Yeah,
it was a metal mold from here to the top of your legs, and you could lie on that, and they had a pole going out the side that they could move it off camera in front of the transparency screens. But they could put your costume on over everything. So a couple days before we did the work, they told Jack and I to bring an old bathing suit in. I said, a bathing suit? We're going to do a pool scene?
Yeah.
I said, well, not exactly. But anyway, we both were fitted for this metal mold, and then they put the suit on over that. And so but your arms were hanging and your legs were hanging. So they say, okay, shoot, up in the arm, up in the leg, point the toes, and then you could relax. And Jack said, oh, I know how tired George would get doing this for 2 weeks at a time. Oh, but bless his heart, So that was fun.
And so you actually got to fly?
Yeah, we flew, and I got to kick a big door down, and Jack got to tack the heavies, whatever. So it was fun.
You're also in Superman Returns, is that right?
Right. Went to Australia to do a little cameo.
And that you play a very pivotal role in that, is that right?
Right. That's what they tell me. Everything is so much of a secret there. You know, he can't say anything, and neither can Jack. And
Can you tell us what character you play?
well, I can tell you, I worked with Kevin Spacey.
Oh, you did? Okay, that's great. Did you work with Brandon Routh at all? Or?
No, I didn't. In fact, I didn't meet him over there because it was a huge lot that Murdoch had brought years ago for 20th Century, and then they just abandoned it. So it was up for rent, lease, whatever. And so they filmed the whole movie over there. And when I was filming, Brandon was doing the second unit stuff at another part, and that was just blocks away. And I finally met him in San Francisco a couple of weekends ago.
Oh, that's great. And what'd you think of
I'm
it?
here. He's so nice, very nice, a young kid, and he's got a tough road to go.
Thank you very much. Noelle Neal, Lois Lane, who the quintessential Lois Lane, who's also going to play a pivotal role. Is it Lex Luthor's mother?
No. Wrong! No.
But you're working with Kevin Spacey.
Yes.
See, I thought I could shock you into telling us what it was.
You did. Might have shocked him too.
She'll be in Superman Returns. Look for it coming out in a theater near you. Thank you very much.
My
You're
pleasure.
delightful. We highly recommend that you watch Superman 1 and 2, the movie starring Christopher Reeve, to remind yourself of the characters of Superman. Lex Luthor, Lois Lane, Clark Kent, Jimmy Olsen, Perry White, and of course, Superman himself. In case you don't get a chance, here's a quick clip from Superman the movie.
My friends, I'm not given to wild, unsupported statements. And I tell you that we must evacuate this planet immediately.
Jor-El, be reasonable.
Once there was a civilization, much like ours, but with a greater intelligence, greater powers, and a greater capacity for good. In one tragic moment, that world was destroyed. But there was one survivor.
Now, wouldn't that beat all get out?
Because of the wisdom and compassion of Jor-El, because he knew the human race had the capacity for goodness, he sent us his only son. His name is Kal-El. He will call himself Clark Kent. But the world will know him as Superman. This year, Superman brings you the gift of flight. Superman, the movie.
In Superman 2, Superman loses his powers so that he can have a relationship with Lois Lane as just Clark Kent. Then, he has to get his powers back again so that he can fight General Zod in the big climactic finale, which happens right here in Times Square. Whoa, look out!
Superman 2. The adventure continues with the three villains from Krypton. Each one with the same powers as Superman. Each one dedicated to violence against mankind.
Think of it. 3 supervillains. Or 4 if you count him twice.
The adventure continues in Paris with Lois Lane.
I believe this is your floor.
And the romance continues. The adventure continues in Washington. The world is on the brink of destruction.
Superman, can you hear me?
And Metropolis is in ruins.
Superman, help us!
Is there no one on this planet to even challenge me?
Superman!
General, would you care to step outside?
Revenge.
Revenge!
Revenge!
Now we're cooking, huh?
The big one's just as strong as Superman.
If you've only seen the first part, you haven't seen the best part. The adventure continues in Superman 2.
Unfortunately for Superman 3 and 4, the quality began to slip, slide, and drop.
I can't ski! Thank you, brother.
Watch the trees.
Greatest threat to Superman is Lex Luthor.
Smarter than I thought. We can make the world safe for war profits.
He's created the ultimate weapon to annihilate the Man of Steel.
Dude of Steel. Where are you gonna get it?
You see what I mean? So we're ignoring Superman 3 and 4. DC Comics is publishing 4 prequels that bridge the gap between Superman 2 and Superman Returns. We had a chance to talk to Dan DiDio about them. Let's hear what he has to say. Superman 4 specials are coming out.
Yes.
You got Bryan Singer and his writing team to write them?
Absolutely. What we did is that we had a chance to meet with them on a regular basis, you know, before the movie started and all that, and they had some stories in mind to fill in the missing years. We wanted to create some material really to help build into momentum and get to the celebration of Superman when the movie comes out. So we were able to work with this team, with Brian, Michael Dougherty, and Dan Harris to create 4 stories that really concentrated on the 4 key characters whose lives were changed because Superman has been missing.
And basically this is between Superman 2 and Superman Returns. These 4 books tell you what's happened.
To the 4 stories, basically, the first issue actually takes place and recaps the origin of Superman. The second one is Ma Kent during the missing 5 years. The third one is Lex Luthor for the missing 5 years, and then the last one is Lois Lane for the missing 5 years.
And it just gives the backstory.
Yes, yeah, exactly. So what happens is that if you're a fan of the movies, you're going to be filling in some blanks in between the two, and there are key threads that you'll find in the comics that actually play into the movies themselves, into the actual movie itself.
Fantastic. Well, I just came out of the all-media screening for Superman Returns. It's a week before it opens, and I can say without hesitation that it is a terrific movie. I highly recommend that everyone goes and sees it. Brandon Routh is great. So is Kate Bosworth, and Kevin Spacey brings whole new depth to Lex Luthor. And by depth, I mean he's not only funny, but he's really, really evil. Just to show you what I mean, here's a few clips from Superman Returns.
their coordinates.
This is where he learned who he was. This is where he came for guidance. Tell me everything.
Let's start with the big question. Where did you go?
Your father used to say that you were put here for a reason. You know, the world can always use more good reporters.
I want to know it all, everything. Also, I want to see photos of him everywhere.
Hark, hey, welcome back. So you've met the Munchkin?
Hello. Fearless reporter Lois Lane is a mommy. But if you ask me, she's still in love with you-know-who.
Does he still stand for truth, justice, all that stuff? Superman Returns.
How could you leave us like that?
It's not easy for me to live my life being who I am, keeping secrets.
The world doesn't need a savior, and neither do I.
So long, Superman.
Lex Luthor.
You're bald.
Cute kid. Come with me. You're not going to want to miss this.
What's wrong?
Lois and Jason are missing.
I have advanced alien technology.
But millions of people will die.
Billions!
Come on, let me hear you say it. Just one.
You're insane.
No! No, the other thing.
Superman will
Wrong! Bring it on! What do you got, Olsen?
Look, in the sky, Chief.
It's a bird.
It's a plane.
No, look, it's... you wanted to see me?
And if that trailer wasn't enough for you, here's Shaquille O'Neal of the NBA champions Miami Heat giving you his opinion about Superman.
Faster than a speeding bullet.
Shaq with the takeaway.
More powerful than a locomotive. Able to leap anything in a single bound.
Superman Returns.
Kryptonite got nothing on me.
Rated PG-13 in theaters and IMAX Wednesday, June 28th.
Look up to the sky. It's a plane. Superman!
Well, that's all the time we have for Superman this week. We'll be back next week with another Superman show. We just want to show you a little clip from the South Orange Library's Thursday morning preschooler sing-along. They're singing one of our favorite songs. See you next time.
Plan, I'm gonna fly like Superman. I'm gonna fly like Superman. I'm gonna fly like a superhero man. I'm gonna fly so high I can touch the sky. I'm gonna fly like Superman. I'm gonna fly like Superman. I'm gonna fly like a superhero man. I'm gonna fly so high I can touch the sky. I'm gonna fly like Superman.
I've got a big sister, she's kinda tough. She and I are playing, we can get a little rough. Instead of getting mad, I can go and tell my dad I'm gonna fly like Superman. Go!
I'm gonna fly like Superman. I'm gonna fly like a superhero man. I'm gonna fly so high I can touch the sky. I'm gonna fly like Superman.
When my friends come over, we like to run around. We even play karate and we make that. Oh, you got a good sound, but